James Ashen. Welcome. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, Alan. Thank you for having me today. It's genuinely always a pleasure to talk with you and just get to talk about music and all the amazing events that we've gotten to do over the years. I think
Mhm.
what's it been? I want to say we it's like 2019 at the very least. We go kind of far back.
I was gonna say, yeah, I think you are somebody that has entered the beat battle maybe every year. If not, I mean, we started in 2017, but once you were in, now you're in there every year kind of thing. Like you've entered every year. But tell us a
Ye-
little bit, kind of how you got your start producing and how you found your way to music.
Yeah, no. So I have always been really into music as early as I can remember. I think when I was a kid, I was always doing some weird. I don't know if it was like a stimming thing because I was kind of like a neurodivergent kid, but I was beatboxing and doing all these like little beats. And eventually, when I got into the school band, I was in marching band and orchestra band, I kind of started understanding music theory a bit better and learned how to play some basic instruments for the drum line. And the earliest music production that I had gotten into, I was super blessed because my high school actually had it was like a music technology program,
Oh,
and
cool.
my music instructor wanted to have me enter her class because it was like sort of it was a new thing. She was trying to really push the music program because
Hmm.
unfortunately a lot of school districts don't invest heavily into their arts programs, and my school
Yeah.
was very big on like, hey, let's spend fat stacks on a new football field and athletic equipment and things like that. And music and the arts sort of always got the last of the last of the money that was allocated
Right.
for yeah. So she basically, in the nicest possible way, was looking at the really just awful, like dog shit beats that I was making on GarageBand in this class, and she was like, "Hey, there is something here. Like a lot of kids are taking this class, and it seems like they're not really putting any thought into what they're making. I can tell you're trying to structure something here."
Yeah.
And that was all it was. That's really all it was. And I fortunately had some friends who were already dabbling in FL Studio,
Okay.
and it really
Yeah.
it just took off from there. I went to
Every.
college, you did Milwaukee, and that's where I met Mystic Music. I met SD Produces, not directly in the school, but just once I was in the
Hmm.
in downtown Milwaukee, or I should not downtown, but like East Side Milwaukee,
Yeah.
through yeah, through DeAndre and some other friends, I pretty much just seamlessly integrated into the broader music scene. And yeah, it's just been yeah, I don't know. It just felt so natural, and I've just constantly been trying to learn and
Hmm.
yeah, I guess it's not super interesting of a story. I guess it's just kind of like, yeah, I just like making beats, and I've
No.
always liked making beats. And then I met some awesome people, and they sort of fostered my creativity and helped me get to where I am today. And yeah.
No, that's actually it is awesome because like it's very rare that you see somebody, an educator that takes so much interest in what you're doing music wise, right? I think at least because I didn't come from like an art school or anything like that. But, I dabbled in music all the way through high school and I don't think teachers ever knew, but like it wasn't the kind of thing that people were like gonna push you for. Right. So it's cool that you had that environment and that meant so much to you that you had an educator that brought what you wanted to do to the light, right? And then was like, yeah, you can actually do something with this. So it's cool that you had that background, and then obviously meeting like Mystic, SD, all you guys, and now being so focused on making beats and making music and everything like that. And you guys have all been part of the beat battle for years. So it's cool to see that you have that background. I didn't know that you were in the high school band though. What were the instruments that you played?
So I was a percussionist. No
Okay.
surprise. So we didn't have a year round marching band. It was
Mm-hmm.
strictly seasonal and around homecoming. So I was the first bass drummer,
Okay.
and that was kind of my go-to instrument for the marching line. I never really, I mean, I wanted to do more snare, but I just never took the
Hmm.
time to really practice the routines on that. So I I sort of just was grandfathered into the first baseline position. It just when I became an upperclassman, and then for or I guess orchestral band, it was a bunch of different things. There was the snare drum, the bass drum. Every once in a while, like the mallets or the xylophone, but I never really stuck with that
Yeah.
over the years. So it,
Yeah.
but yeah, just a myriad of random percussion instruments for the orchestral band. I don't even know what you call the one where you do the big clap, but I did that at least once for, for one of the songs we did.
Right.
But yeah, yeah,
All things that lead themselves to hip hop production, though, right? Like you got to have some kick, you got to have some bass drum to it. So that leads it there. You are somebody that, like I said, has been in the beat battle every year. You've gotten in, you've made it in every year through the selection committee and things like that. How does that environment help you as a producer? Because as somebody that used to make beats, think about that when I'm crafting the competition, and I'm like, okay, realistically, if you're in this part of the bracket, you've got 2 weeks to come up with something new or whatever, to come up with 4 beats to show everybody. Like, how does that environment kind of push you as a creative, as a producer?
I think it's a great way to get me off my ass and really like lock in for what I guess you could just simply say is a very competitive environment. I mean, obviously, you know all the guys that are a part of the beat battles from year to year, and I would say for the most part, like a vast majority, everyone's really just there to showcase their work, bring good vibes. It's
Mm-hmm.
all, I think, healthy competition. We have no real beef with anybody. We're just
Yeah.
trying to sort of push each other to make the best work we possibly can. And the beat battles were really a way to get me out of my shell
Mm-hmm.
because like you said earlier, you guys started back in 2017 and I didn't join right away. I was actually just kind of observing and Mystic had entered, SD had entered, and again, these guys, I mentioned them a lot because they were really there before anybody knew who I was, and they were
Yeah.
constantly like, dude, we entered this, you've seen the music that's being put out. We really think that the things that you're already making
Yeah.
are worthy of being on the stage, just like our music is, just like the other stuff you've seen. It's like just like put yourself out there. Because I was really, I mean, what's the saying? Like, you're your own worst critic, and I feel
Oh
like
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why my bodies of work have been so sporadic. And
Mm-hmm.
it's usually around beat battle season that you'll see me actually start like releasing tracks. It was like during our most recent round of beat battles, whether that's like Big Beat, leading into Hip Hop Week.
Yeah.
I released some work with Julian Gross that was on one of his summer EPs, Code Blue, one of my favorite tracks that I've done. And that beat was actually a beat battle beat that
Oh, awesome.
Julian, I sent him over the beat, and then he just sort of reorganized a couple of things to make a full 2-3 minute track because the one
Right.
minute stipulation, right? But yeah, it's really just a way to get me just working, and I think I don't need everything to be competitive, but it doesn't hurt. I think
Yeah.
I'd mentioned beatboxing earlier, and that was actually something most people knew me for before making beats. But
Mm-hmm.
there was never a really strong beatboxing scene in Milwaukee, at least not that I was ever aware of. And I got kind of boring, like not interacting with other beatboxers or other artists that had the same passion that I did for
Right.
beatboxing. And around the same time is when I met people that had just a burning and fiery passion for hip hop production, which
Mm-hmm.
again fostered my my early interest. And yeah, so then that's sort of where that went.
For sure. You mentioned Julian Gross, that you had track with him, but who are some of the other artists that you've been working with lately?
I've been trying to work on. I've basically been trying to reach out to like a lot of different artists. Nothing has been fully released yet, but I've been talking to Sam.E and Will on Water, working on some stuff with them. I've been trying to keep in touch with again my inner circle, where you got like Philly and SD and Mystic, and I've been
Mm-hmm.
trying to work on some stuff with Philly, because Philly also is he's an amazing rapper, and
Mm-hmm.
I admire his, I guess you could say, not necessarily like New York style, but just like very like old school, like heavy hitting style hip hop
Yeah.
production, and his writing ability, and definitely want to work. Been trying to work on some stuff with him, and I've been talking to DJ Megadon. I know him and I have talked about working on some stuff too. He also
Nice.
has released a couple of EPs that been a lot of fun to watch, because Megadon was sort of like one of our orbiters and was always coming out to the beat battles and coming to studio, and to see him finally put a project together. And he's been wanting
Yeah.
to write some stuff with me. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of things that we're trying to put together, but I get just haven't happened yet. So any artists that I mentioned are definitely people that I have worked with and want to work with, and have had those conversations. But yeah, the only single I've dropped so far these past few months is that Code Blue single.
For sure. Well, I like what you said too, that people are orbiters, right? Like they show up and they come to the beat battle for maybe a year or two and they see it. Like I think about like OA Beats was the same way. Like he came to the battle for a year or two, and then like next thing you know, they're in it. Like you know what I mean? Like we didn't know these people until they started gravitating to these events, and then like it's all come together in one. So it's super cool. If artists want to hear some of your stuff and hear what you're up to, or get find you, follow you, where's the best place to go ahead and find James Ashen?
Yeah, so if you're interested in any kind of hip hop production, or even like a mix of electronic production, I'm definitely someone you should look into. I have some stuff on my SoundCloud that's again under James Ashen, no underscores, X's, or anything like that. Just James Ashen. And then my Instagram, I post a lot of stuff on Instagram. Not so much on Facebook, even though I do have a Facebook as well. Instagram
Mm-hmm.
just has had a lot more engagement, and that's usually where I'm going to be posting any
Mm-hmm.
snippets or upcoming projects. And right now, I am working on some personal stuff, and anticipate, in early 2026, sort of like small EP mixtape release in early 2026, just under, again, solo title. So
Tight.
you got people will be hearing more about that as we get into the new year. So I can't say much more, but yeah, that's where you guys
For
can find me.
sure. Love it. Well, don't forget, you guys, you can check out even more of James Ashen as well as the Milwaukee music scene every day over at breakingandentering.net, as well as all of our social media. And thank you, James, for taking the time to sit down and do this, man.
Yeah, thank you again for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Appreciate you, Alan.